Hey, lovelies, what do you think? You know, I am so freaking nearsighted. So I live my life in contact lenses, but my eyes have been getting really tired lately. So I'm trying to wear glasses more, and I just got a new prescription, and I just got these Mamba Jamba. Thought they were cool. I am not so sure. I was wearing them the other day, and a acquaintance said, "My, you look studious." I was like, I was going for hip, and they said, "Well, yeah, I guess it's cool." Anyway, all right, so these are me and my lenses, and again, sitting on my porch against the backdrop of my completely scuzzy, desperately needing painted house, and my freckles are in prominent view. So that's me. How are you doing? It is that time of the month again, the time to review my Wheel of Life for 2024. It is October 1st, and my card of the month last month was the Nine of Wands, which, I've been wearing this talisman all month, and really trying to make sense of what this energy is. You know, the Nine of Wands, that vigilance, standing firm in the midst of life's encounters and life's challenges, and also carrying the fire within. These eyes of this dark cat, which I was in a recent dueling deck dialogue with the Mary L. Tarot. This came forth with the Knight of Wands. And just thinking about what it is to be that fire in the eyes, that fire that ignites, that fire that is ignited. Mary L. talks about that Knight of Wands as the dark knight, the knight who carries the fire, maybe embodies the fire in a sense. So in these kind of Wheel of Life check-ins, checkups, updates every month, I've been thinking about three sort of aspects of the wheel as it turns throughout the year. And that the first of these, perhaps most obvious, is the movement from last month's card of the month to this month's card of the month. The movement from the Nine of Wands to my October card, which is the Five of freaking Pentacles. And of course, we are working with the Ostara Tarot, and the fives in the Ostara all have snakes in them, and this asp that is winding its way up the leg of this woman who's on the outside of this kind of luminous edifice. You know, in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, it's the church that's illuminated from within, and you've got the beggars outside in the cold and the snow. Here, she's not clearly a beggar, but something is going on. She's bundled up tight. She's going somewhere, and there is this snake wrapped all the way around her body, this kundalini energy getting ready to burst forth. For me, that energy is the energy of the wands. It's the energy of fire, that life, vitality, moving into the world energy. And here, it's leading her, and it's leading her in the way that our desires lead us, which is to say, it's leading her with a sense of scarcity and loss. And then in the stained glass window of the church, it's not so clearly a church here, but we have the five discs, the five pentacles. We also have a depiction of what seems like a snake. It looks like the snake from the Garden of Eden, with the apple in its mouth, wound up the tree of the knowledge of the difference between good and evil. So maybe something here about the fall. Certainly something here about how our desire can freaking break our hearts. Our desire can pull us forward, but through this awareness of scarcity. And yet all the pinks and oranges, that brightness in the window. This is like the stuff of vibrancy and life, this desire, even if it leads us into a sense of doing without, a sense of scarcity. So I'm thinking here in what the reading that I call rim month, as we're moving around the rim of the wheel from one month to the next, from September to October. I'm thinking here like this is about how that kind of desire, that sort of dopaminergic, to be all neuroscience-y, nerdy side of myself, that you know, seeking the next dopamine charge, that kind of like life that's always reaching, how that leads to a sense of depletion and scarcity. And that's what I'm investigating this month. Now, I also think about the relationship between the card of the month and my hub card, that central card for the Wheel of Life, like the theme card of the year, which in this case is the Emperor. It's been my card all year, and the Emperor is all about structure and building worlds, and my desire to like make sense of things and like carve a life for myself, it's like the Esther that's always traffic. It's the Esther that's always planning, that's always building, that's always making, that's always like, I'm going to put it together. Hey kids, let's put on a play. That energy of mine that always wants to build a world and enlist others and materials and kind of craft something from the ground up. I love that side of me, but it's also the side of me that has a hard time with a world that, has obstacles, or where waiting needs to happen. It's not a very patient side of me, and it's also a side that needs to control, that needs to make sense. So it's not the side of me that's super good with being out of control, that's super good at not understanding things. It's the Emperor is not so good at being a fool, not so good at not knowing, not so good at embracing uncertainty. The Emperor wants to like carve it out, plot it out, find the structure. So how does this kind of yearning and tendency towards scarcity relate to that part of me that needs to create and control and to craft and to know, like to have the answers? It's a side of me that's great for guiding people into a future, but it's not a side of me that's great for like hunkering down here in the openness and uncertainty of the present. So that reading, my card of the month, and my hub card, my theme for the year, that I call my hub month reading. And the last reading I do is to think about my wheel of life. If you think that the wheel is itself, this circle from, January all the way to December with a hub card at the center, it's a wheel, right? Rim and wheel. Then you can also think about the way that the spokes of the wheel go all the way across the diameter. And if we look across from October to March, January, February, March, April, my April card, the card that's right across the circle from October, it's Judgment. So this is my spoke month reading, where I think about the relationship across the wheel and how, this depiction of judgment is very much about like the possibility of reckoning and reconciliation, like coming to terms with what we have done. And this guy with his head in the hands is being comforted by the handless comrade who we imagine who he has injured. It's a card that's about mercy and forgiveness in this deck, in the Ostara Tarot, in Molly Applejohn's depiction. For me, Judgment is a card that's about calling and meeting our higher self, our truest self, like rising forward to be who we really are. But there's also a mercy in that. So how does this movement, working across the wheel from the Five of Pentacles to Judgment, how do I understand that? And for me, this is about how that snake is leading her leading her to her calling, leading her to her reckoning, leading her perhaps to a path of atonement and forgiveness, but to coming to terms with who she authentically is. And so that desire, that kundalini, that fire that leads us, no need to be afraid of it. It will take us to our authentic destiny. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if that made sense, resonated for any of you who are working with similar cards, or maybe just heard in this reading of my cards of the month something that lands for you. I am now going to do my trading of the talisman. So this is the Charmcast Tarot, and I love, this is just a brilliant object. There's a little hole in the back, and I can just poke. It's got a magnet. I just poke one tile out and pop the next tile in. 5 of Pentacles, my card of the month. All right, you guys, tell me what you think. If you have thoughts, if this resonates, and definitely tell me what you think of my glasses. And you won't hurt my feelings if you're like, damn girl, those are not for you. It's worth hearing it. Be slightly gentle, but feel free to be honest. And in the meantime, thank you for your practice. Take care.